You didn't.
Ooh, ba-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da, see you. Wake up and rise, open your eyes. It's breakfast with the Thomases, the ultimate prize. Mental wellness Monday, work it out Wednesday. Pay it forward Friday, we'll season the day. Digital finance, harmony of love, serving food for what those stole. Rising as the beat and it Eastern on P2G TV. Breakfast with the Thomases, come eat with me.
Oh, yeah.
Grand Rising. I don't know what that was about, y'all. How you doing? It's Breakfast with the Thomases. Hey,
Grand Rising, Grand Rising.
Grand Rising, and welcome to our Monday, Mental Wellness Monday with you guys. We're going to get into it today.
Yes.
Who is awake?
I am.
Who is alive?
I think we are.
And who is going to thrive no matter what the heck is going on in this world?
Right.
That's you, babe, because that's what you're here for. You are on with Breakfast with the Thomases, and we got it cracking today. How you guys doing? I love you. I love you. I love you.
It was a crack-a-lackin' weekend this week.
Oh, yes, it was. All right. So I got some. So just to let you know that God blessed me. Nature has come to my. I'm an Aquarius, and all that rain I just got in New York, oh, it was heavenly. I don't know how many of y'all had stuff to do on Saturday, but I'm sorry you couldn't get it done, or it was a problem. But I loved the downpour. I love that nature comes through. We got fires over in Canada right now. New York getting smogged out. And we got it's like God said, you know what? We're going to have to clean this up. You know what I'm saying?
Time.
And I was like, yes. I got to, yes, right? Time for refreshment, renewal. This is what I'm talking about. How you doing? Hey, babies, how y'all feeling? Grand Rising on this beautiful Monday. All right. So you know we don't be up in this mug doing nothing. We gotta make things happen and get things popping. Who ready to get it popping? We gotta get some information on so we can start having our conversations and have that elevation. That's right. So you're not just here for Monday talk. You here for Monday, start your life, set, not reset, but set what you want to see, because you can have it and know that you got this.
And it's such true. And today is like, I want you guys to I want you to take this date into memory and listen to it. You ever put a jigsaw puzzle together? Today's a jigsaw puzzle you get to put together. And the date I want you to know that's the center of the jigsaw puzzle is July 24th. All right, July 24th.
Look, I'm just letting y'all know right now. I don't trust nothing nobody say. I do my research. So like I just said that for me, I'm telling you that. You are not here to believe everything we say. We want you to be independent thinkers because we know that's who and what you are. But we want to give you some info to go on so you can follow up the steps. And if you want to keep going to the conversation, make sure you make it to our Wednesday night. It's an invitation to put things in place for us. Let's go. And so I have some cool stuff coming this Wednesday. And anybody that ain't in the room, too bad you missed out. But anyway, we're going to have a lot of fun as family. I'm going to let y'all know this. Just because you see us in these boxes, don't think that this is everywhere we are. The goal of this is to get you together in the real world with the right ones.
We're real people.
Yes, we are. And we're looking for real people who really want to get things done. Not just talk about it, but be about it. And when you're ready for those steps, we're going to be around. Let's get started because we have some information to share. And Mr. Thomas picked an AI, so please do not get discouraged because it's coming from an AI source. We have done our homework to check things for ourselves. That's the only reason we share. Like I said, if I can't be it or do it, I ain't sharing it. Baby girl, give me one moment. Here we go. I gotta get everybody in the room.
Yes.
Hi, Tyrone. We see you. And let me just acknowledge everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Clapper, StreamYard, what is it?
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Dad, we got everybody out here.
Yes,
All right.
indeed, yes, indeed.
So with that, I want you to listen up. I'm going to put it on and let you get some information, and we're going to come into the conversation for elevation. Let's go. All right, John, let's go.
Remembers for years. July 24th might become one of them. Because on that single day, something unusual happens. Not one event, not two. 4 completely separate events all collide inside the same 24-hour window. Any one of them could move the gold market on its own. Together, they create a setup I honestly can't remember seeing in recent years. And the strange part is this. Almost nobody is talking about all 4 at the same time. Everyone is looking at their own piece of the puzzle. Very few people are looking at the picture. So today, that's exactly what we're going to do. Not to predict where gold trades next week. Not to tell you to buy, not to tell you to sell, simply to understand what the market is walking into before it gets there. Because whether gold rises, falls, or barely moves at all, if you understand the mechanics beforehand, you're already ahead of most participants. The first headline looked almost boring. A few Chinese banks announced they would stop offering certain retail gold and silver trading services starting on July 24th. At first glance, that sounds like the kind of regulatory update almost everyone ignores. I almost ignored it too. Then another headline landed. The exact same date, different story, different country, different financial system. Now I had 2 completely unrelated events scheduled for exactly the same day. That was enough to make me stop. Not because 2 events prove anything. They don't. Markets produce coincidences all the time. But coincidences deserve one thing, a second look. So I kept digging. A third event. Again, July 24th. Now the coincidence started feeling heavier. Then a fourth. Same week, close enough that markets would almost certainly price them together. That's the moment this stopped looking like 4 separate headlines and started looking like one story. The kind of story you only notice after laying everything across the same table. This isn't a prediction video. It's not another $5,000 gold is coming. It's actually much less exciting and much more useful. Because markets rarely move because of one giant surprise. Most of the time, they move because several smaller forces quietly begin pushing in the same direction. Almost nobody notices while it's happening. Then one morning, the chart moves. And suddenly, everyone starts looking for reasons after the fact. I'd rather do the opposite. Let's look before the move instead of explaining it afterward. As we go through this, I want you to resist something. Don't decide whether you're bullish or bearish. Not yet. Just collect the pieces. Think of this less like watching financial news and more like walking into a room where someone has emptied 4 different jigsaw puzzles onto the same table. Right now, nothing seems connected. By the end of this video, whether the market moves or not, I think you'll at least understand why July 24th has been quietly showing up in so many completely different places. Let's start where this story actually begins. Not in Washington, not at the Federal Reserve, not on Wall Street, inside China's banking system. Because that's where the first domino falls. July 24th. Several of China's biggest banks are shutting down retail paper gold and silver trading. That sentence sounds technical, almost forgettable. Until you ask one simple question. Why now? Because timing matters. Banks don't usually wake up one morning and decide to change how millions of customers access one of humanity's oldest assets, especially not on the exact same date. So I started reading the announcements themselves, not the headlines, the actual notices. Most of them sounded almost identical. Retail clients would no longer be able to open new positions through these paper precious metals products. Some existing positions would have to be closed. Others would simply expire. Quiet, administrative, the kind of language nobody pays attention to. But sometimes the most important stories hide behind the most boring words. Then I looked at which banks were making the change. Not one bank, not 2, several, including the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, the largest commercial bank in the world by assets. That immediately changes the scale. This isn't a niche brokerage updating its product list. This is one of the biggest financial institutions on earth changing how ordinary Chinese customers access gold. And suddenly, the obvious explanation felt a little too simple. The mainstream interpretation is straightforward. Gold has been volatile. Retail investors have taken losses. Regulators want less speculation. Honestly, that's a perfectly reasonable explanation. It may even be part of the truth. But then another question appeared. If this is mainly about protecting retail investors, why remove paper exposure instead of physical buying? Because those are 2 very different things. One is a financial contract. The other is actual metal. And China didn't shut down both. Only one. That distinction matters much more than it first appears. When someone buys a paper gold product, most of the time, no gold bar moves anywhere. No vault opens. No truck delivers metal. It's mostly exposure to price, a financial claim, a contract. That's very different from taking delivery of physical gold. One creates trading activity. The other creates demand for metal itself. Those are not the same market, even though most people treat them like they are. Now, I want to be careful here. I'm not saying China is declaring war on paper gold. There's no official statement saying that, and we should resist jumping to conclusions. But several analysts who follow precious metals market structure much more closely than I do noticed something interesting. Removing paper participation naturally shifts attention toward markets where physical settlement matters more. Not because regulators said, go buy physical, they didn't, but because one path becomes narrower while another stays open. Sometimes markets don't need instructions. They simply follow the path that's left. Then another detail caught my attention. The date, again. Not sometime in July. Not later this summer, exactly July 24th. The same date we opened this video with. At this point, I still wasn't convinced these events were connected. I actually wanted them not to be connected, because unrelated stories are easier to explain. One big interconnected story is much harder to prove. So instead of forcing a connection, I kept looking for something that would break the pattern, something that would let me say, never mind, just a coincidence. Instead, I found another event, also July 24th. And this one was happening on the opposite side of the world. While China was quietly closing one door, something else was happening, thousands of miles away. Same date, July 24th. The CME Group, the largest derivatives exchange in the United States, was preparing to open a new one. Not another stock, not another ETF. A new way to trade gold, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. At first, I honestly didn't think much of it. Exchanges launch new products all the time. Most disappear without anyone noticing. I almost skipped this section entirely. Then I looked at the calendar again. Same day, China narrows one paper market, America expands another. That made me stop. On their own, both decisions make sense. China says we want less retail speculation. The CME says we want markets that never sleep. Neither statement is shocking, but markets don't exist in isolation. Every new trading venue changes where price is discovered. And that's where this becomes much bigger than another product launch. Think about how gold has been priced for decades. Most people imagine the price of gold comes from supply and demand. Someone buys, someone sells, price moves. Reality is a little messier. The benchmark price is heavily influenced by financial markets, by futures, by derivatives, by institutions managing enormous positions that may never result in a single ounce of physical metal changing hands. That's not conspiracy. That's simply how modern commodity markets work. Paper markets help discover prices long before physical metal moves. Now zoom out. Where is most physical gold actually consumed? Not New York, not London, Asia, China, India. The regions that buy the overwhelming majority of physical gold each year. Yet for decades, much of the world's reference pricing has still been centered in Western financial markets. That creates an interesting tension. The biggest buyers aren't necessarily the biggest price setters. Now imagine two different systems trying to solve that problem. One says reduce paper participation. The other says expand paper participation. Neither side describes it that way publicly. But mechanically, that's exactly what's happening. One system is narrowing access. The other is widening it. And both begin on exactly the same day. This is where I stopped treating July 24th as a coincidence. Not because I believe these institutions coordinated with each other, there's no evidence of that, but because markets often evolve through competition, not cooperation. Every financial center wants liquidity. Every exchange wants volume. Every benchmark wants to become the benchmark everyone else follows. Gold pricing has always been partly a competition for influence, and influence follows liquidity. Then another question hit me. If China is reducing one source of paper trading, who fills that space? Because markets hate vacuums. Liquidity almost always flows somewhere else. Maybe that's exactly what the CME hopes happens. Maybe it isn't. I can't prove motivation, but I can observe incentives, and incentives matter. At this point, I still had two completely different stories sitting on my desk, one inside China's banking system, one inside America's derivatives market. Interesting, but still disconnected. Then I noticed a third event scheduled for the very same date. This one had nothing to do with exchanges, nothing to do with banks, nothing to do with gold directly. At least, that's what I thought. The third event almost didn't make it into this video. Not because it wasn't important, because at first it didn't seem connected. It wasn't about gold, it wasn't about silver, it wasn't even about commodities. It was about a legal deadline, July 24th. One piece of tariff authority is scheduled to expire. On paper, that sounds like something only trade lawyers would care about. I almost moved on. Then I followed what happens next. Tariffs don't just change the price of imported goods. They change expectations. Businesses expect different costs, consumers expect different prices, investors expect different inflation, and once inflation expectations begin to move, something much bigger starts moving with them: interest rate expectations. Now, this is where everything gets connected. Not because tariffs directly determine the price of gold. They don't. The connection is one step removed. Think of it like gears inside a watch. You don't move the last gear directly, you move the first one. And eventually, the last gear turns anyway. For most of this year, one of the biggest pressures on gold hasn't actually been gold. It's been the dollar. Whenever markets become more convinced that interest rates will stay higher for longer, the dollar tends to strengthen. And historically, a stronger dollar has often created headwinds for gold priced in dollars. Not always, but often enough that traders watch the relationship constantly. Now, imagine expectations suddenly changing. Not because the Federal Reserve announced anything, not because inflation data collapsed overnight, simply because one policy supporting the existing narrative reaches a decision point. Markets don't wait for certainty. They begin repricing probability, sometimes days in advance, sometimes weeks. This is one of the easiest mistakes to make as an investor, waiting for confirmation. By the time confirmation arrives, markets have usually spent days pricing it in. That's why earnings move before earnings. That's why central bank meetings move markets before the announcement. The market isn't reacting to today's news. It's reacting to tomorrow's probability. So now look back at the calendar. China's banking changes, the CME launch, a major tariff deadline, same day. None of them guarantee anything. That's worth repeating. None of them guarantee anything. But together, they all influence the same machine: liquidity, expectations, positioning. And positioning is often what moves markets first. At this point, I had three completely different systems on my desk: China's banking system, America's futures market, US trade policy, three separate stories, three different institutions, one date. I kept waiting for one of them to fall apart. Instead, the fourth piece showed up. And this one wasn't scheduled for July 24th. It was scheduled just 4 days later, close enough that markets would almost certainly begin thinking about it before July 24th ever arrived. July 28th, the Federal Reserve begins its next policy meeting. That matters. Not because everyone expects a dramatic announcement, quite the opposite. Markets care about what officials might say, what tone they might use, and what investors begin believing comes next. Sometimes the press conference matters more than the decision itself. By now, July 24th no longer looked like a single event. It looked like the beginning of a sequence, one catalyst leading into another, one expectation feeding the next. And that changes something important, because markets don't experience events one at a time. They experience clusters. And clusters tend to create volatility, whether the final move is up or down. For most of this video, we've been treating July 24th as the beginning of the story. Somewhere around this point in my research, I stopped believing that. Because every time I pulled another thread, it led backwards, not forwards. China's banking changes didn't appear overnight. The CME didn't build a 24-hour market in a weekend. Trade policy didn't suddenly become important this month. Even the Federal Reserve isn't reacting to July 24th. It's reacting to months of incoming data. That's when something clicked for me. Maybe July 24th isn't the cause. Maybe it's the intersection. The first day, all of these separate roads become visible at the same place. And once I started looking at it that way, another market suddenly became much more interesting: silver. Gold gets almost all the headlines. Silver rarely does. That's strange, because silver is actually the more fragile market. Smaller, less liquid, more dependent on industrial demand. And historically, when pressure builds beneath the surface, silver usually reacts more violently than gold. Not because it's more important, because it's thinner. Imagine two lakes. One is enormous, one is shallow. Drop the same rock into both. Which one changes more? Usually the smaller one. That's silver. Now look at where silver already was before July 24th. Physical demand remains strong. Industrial consumption hasn't disappeared. Long-term supply deficits haven't magically fixed themselves. None of those structural forces suddenly change because one date appears on a calendar. Which brings us back to the question we've been carrying through this entire video. If July 24th isn't creating something new, what exactly is it revealing? One answer comes from the futures market. Every options expiration forces traders to make a decision: close the position, roll it forward, or take delivery. Most of the time, that process happens quietly. Liquidity is deep. Orders get absorbed. Nobody notices. But July 24th doesn't look like most expiration cycles, because one source of liquidity inside China is disappearing at exactly the same time. Notice what I'm not saying. I'm not saying prices have to explode. They don't. I'm not saying silver must squeeze. It may not. Markets are perfectly capable of disappointing everyone. I'm saying something much simpler. When liquidity changes, volatility usually follows. Direction comes later. Then I looked at positioning. Not headlines, not opinions. Positioning. And that's where the picture became even more interesting, because investors weren't positioned like they expected fireworks. They were positioned like they expected more of the same. And markets have a habit of becoming most dangerous when everyone quietly agrees about what happens next. Somewhere around this point, I stopped looking at July 24th altogether. Not because it wasn't important, because I realized I was asking the wrong question. I kept asking what happens on July 24th. The better question turned out to be, why are so many completely different systems arriving at the same moment? Those aren't the same question. One looks at the calendar, the other looks underneath it. That's when I spread everything across my desk. China's banking announcements, the CME launch, the tariff deadline, the Federal Reserve meeting, 4 stories, 4 institutions, 4 different groups of decision makers, and almost no overlap between them. At least, that's what I thought. Then one word kept appearing, not in every document, not in every headline, but underneath all of them. Liquidity. China changes liquidity. The CME competes for liquidity. Tariff policy changes liquidity conditions. The Federal Reserve changes liquidity through money itself. Different language, same pressure. Once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. Most people think markets move because of news. Sometimes they do. But most large moves happen because liquidity changes first and the headlines show up later. Imagine trying to push a boat away from a dock. If the water's deep, it barely notices. If the tide is low, the same push moves it much farther. Markets behave the same way. The news is the push, liquidity is the water. And July 24th looks less like a headline and more like the tide changing. That also explains something that confused me at the beginning of this investigation. The ETF. Remember where this entire story started? Money moving into gold while gold was falling. At first that looked irrational, then it looked defensive. Now, I'm not sure it's either. Maybe those investors weren't reacting to price at all. Maybe they were reacting to something much larger that price simply hadn't reflected yet. I can't prove that. But after everything we've walked through, it no longer feels like the strangest explanation. There's another lesson hiding here. One I think applies far beyond gold. Markets almost never ring a bell before they change. They whisper. Small policy updates, technical announcements, product launches, regulatory filings, things that feel too boring to matter. Until one day, everyone suddenly realizes they matter together. That's why these stories are so easy to miss. Each one looks insignificant on its own. It's only when you stack them together that the shape becomes visible. This is also why I'm deliberately avoiding a prediction, because that's not actually the interesting part. Gold could finish July higher, lower, or almost exactly where it started. And this entire framework could still be useful, because the real takeaway isn't a price target. It's understanding how the market is changing before everyone starts talking about the fact that it's changing. Those are 2 very different advantages. There's an old saying in investing: by the time something becomes obvious, it's usually no longer valuable. I don't know exactly what July 24th will bring. Nobody does. But I do know this. I've almost never seen this many independent catalysts compressed into such a short window, all touching the same market from different directions. That alone makes it worth paying attention. And before we finish, there's one final mistake I almost made. It's probably the biggest one of the entire investigation. Because for most of this video, I've been talking about what the market might do, when I should have been asking something much simpler. What should you do? That's a completely different conversation. After everything we've walked through, there's one question left. Not what happens on July 24th. What do you actually do with all of this? And I think the answer depends entirely on what you own. If you own physical gold or silver, July 24th probably matters less than you think. That might sound strange after the last 20 minutes, but it's true. A futures expiration doesn't change the gold coin sitting in your safe. A new CME contract doesn't suddenly alter the number of ounces you own. A regulatory change in China doesn't physically reach into your vault. What it can change is the price quoted on your screen. Those aren't always the same thing. One is the market's opinion. The other is the asset itself. Understanding that distinction matters on days like this. If your exposure is entirely paper, an ETF, futures, options, or a leveraged position, then July 24th deserves a little more attention. Not because something dramatic has to happen, because several mechanisms are arriving at the same time. Options expire. Liquidity shifts, expectations move. Those things can create volatility even when nothing fundamentally changes. That's how markets work more often than most people realize. And if you've simply been watching from the sidelines, waiting for certainty, this is probably the hardest lesson of all. Markets almost never offer certainty first. They offer probability, then movement, then headlines, then explanations, usually in that order. That's why I spent so much time talking about mechanisms instead of predictions. Predictions have an expiration date. Mechanisms don't. Whether gold finishes July at a new high or gives back everything, the mechanisms we've discussed today will still be the same. China's banking decisions happened. The CME launch happened. The policy calendar exists. The The Federal Reserve still has to respond to incoming data. Those aren't opinions. They're simply pieces of the environment investors have to operate inside. When I started researching this, I thought I was making a video about one date. I wasn't. I was making a video about something much easier to miss. The way markets quietly change before prices do. Most people experience change through the chart. The chart moves. Then they search for a reason. But sometimes the reasons arrive first, quietly, scattered across central bank releases, exchange announcements, government filings, and regulatory notices that almost nobody reads. One document doesn't tell the story, neither do two. Sometimes it takes 4 or 5 or 10 before the pattern becomes visible. And maybe that's the real lesson here. Not that July 24th will be historic. It might be, it might not. The real lesson is that markets don't usually transform because of one spectacular event. They transform because dozens of ordinary events slowly begin pointing in the same direction. Most people don't notice until the chart finally catches up. So when July 24th arrives, don't just watch the price, watch the reaction. Watch where liquidity goes, watch how traders respond. Watch whether the market absorbs these events quietly or whether something starts to break away from the pattern we've been living with for most of this year. Because sometimes the most important thing isn't the event itself, it's what the event reveals. And that brings us back to the question we started with. Is July 24th the story? I don't think it is anymore. I think it's something much more interesting. It's the day 4 completely different systems all reveal the direction they were already moving. Whether that's enough to change the gold market immediately, we'll find out soon enough. But whatever happens next, it won't arrive without context. Because now, you've already seen the pieces before they landed. If this analysis helped you see the market from a different angle, let me know in the comments which of the 4 events you think the market is underestimating the most. I read those discussions because they often surface perspectives worth researching further. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Let's go, let's go.
Grand Rapids.
What's up?
Oh.
That's a lot. How you doing?
Yo.
Woo! That's a lot to pull together, and we are going to do that as a family. This is the Breakfast Table. Welcome to Breakfast with the Thomases. You have been listening to the setup of several particular points come together, pulling together at one time around your economy. And people go, oh, that's gold and silver. It has nothing to do with the dollar. It has everything
to do with the dollar.
To do with the dollar. And the ones in your pocket, the ones in your retirement, the ones that are sitting in your, the ones that get, not only that, the ones that get distributed as your benefits.
Paychecks, retirement.
So everything. I'm talking about anything. If you're on disability, this affects you. And what he said at the end made a whole lot of sense. It's not really about all of this. It's what are you going to do with it? What can you do with it? And he was talking about the ones who get the most effect, the one who are going to have the most effect. This is going to affect the most of the ones who are trading with it. Well, we're not. I'm not a trader, Mr. Thomas. You trade.
I trade, yeah.
But I don't.
And one of the things that came up to me, which really stuck, because I was prepared for the meeting on the 28th. I was waiting for it to come through. I wanted to hear what was going to be taken. That's when inflation rates change. So that changes.
Okay, so that's Monday. That's next Monday.
But what I didn't know about was the tariff changes. That affects us directly.
How does the tariff? Well, what happens is there are, so everything is a contract.
Yeah.
Every rule that they make has a contract. It's a certain amount of time. Just like certain laws that are on the books. They were like, oh, you're going back to slavery. No, that's not going to happen. But there's so many things put in place that doesn't become a reality.
Yeah.
But when it comes to finances, this is the way it rolls.
Absolutely.
They have to come up with something new. They have to, because they know that there's going to be a deadline for certain things to disappear, certain programs that they put in place to disappear.
Absolutely.
There is no forever anything in finances.
No.
Remember that. But how does it affect you? Okay, couple of things. There's a couple of opportunities here.
Yeah, you want to take it piece by piece? No, it's like, go.
You got pieces. Go ahead. You want to
pieces.
talk about it. He want to talk about it,
Because
y'all. Let's go.
Ed,
no. This is what I'm talking about.
I'm ecstatic.
He really is. All right, cool.
Because look, let me tell you, you guys don't really, you may or may not understand what the Chinese industrial banking is. That's a little far-fetched, but understand me. This is one of the biggest banks in China that controls how money moves over there. But how money moves over there affects how money moves over here. So what they said to you today was they're closing the door on retail gold and silver on that side of the world.
When he said that, I think that when you got to clarify retail, and I believe
Okay.
that because I know for me, retail
Means-
is when I buy it.
No, retail.
But
is
for
paper.
them is what is it?
It's paper goods, paper commodities,
Mm-hmm.
gold, silver, ETFs
Okay.
that everyone's been buying.
Okay. And that's basically contracts.
That's
It goes
contract.
back to
Contract.
trading. It goes back to, exchanges, stuff like that. It's not the physical process. Can I just mention something?
Yes, please go ahead.
In turn of that, it means it also means for China, they're actually pushing more toward the physical, because that's what China is doing. And I think what happens is we as Americans go, oh, they. You don't realize that this is something that, you know what I'm saying, you can't be mad at the powers that be when you know the steps they took and you won't take them even in small increments.
But you're missing the point. And one of the things that you might be leading to is balance.
Right.
One of the things you might be leading to is balance. People don't see the balance going on.
Right.
What happens on one side of the equation affects the other side of the equation.
Right. So I hate to say it, but I always looked at that as smoke and mirrors, because the market is controllable. He's talking about now they're trying to make it 24 hours, and you know how they're going to do that.
Yeah.
You already know how
They
they're
already
going
put
in.
it down. They put two options out in the world today.
I'm just letting you know, they're not taking the physical. You're not going to see Wall Street go. You're going to see Wall Street go to the blockchain,
That's
because
it.
that's the 24-hour market.
And they've been working on that since 2023.
Okay. So I'm calling it out. I'm just saying what it is. They're going to go to blockchain. It's the only way to do it and have it internationally connected with bridges that can be easily transferred. And what does that mean? Mr. Ruby, it's just too much in my head. I need you to get this in your head. We got to start putting new things in our mental pathways so that we can have new outcomes in our life. And you can't be mad about being the 99 if you're not willing to switch it over to the 1%. You're going to have to make the shift.
Yep.
We got to stop with this pride in being poor and impoverished. Stop being the underdog. It's time to rise. When you have the same knowledge they do, and you're in it, and you got it in advance, what can you do with it?
Well, what you can do with it is you can actually take advantage and capitalize in small increments. That's the first thing you got to realize. This is not an overnight thing you can do. This is not. You can't go in and say, and I'm going to speak to people who are in the retirement field, retired or getting ready to. You can't jump into your account and say, I want all of it, and I want to shift it over to what's going on here.
Right. That is not, and I'm gonna be honest, that's not what we're, no, it's not only reality, it's not what we're saying at all. I want to make sure one thing is very clear. We're not here to tell you, dump all your paper products.
No, not in the least.
There's a game that has to be played, and Alvin said it earlier. It's called balance. You have to know how to move in all mediums. Most of y'all don't know how to move in all mediums because you think you have something.
You think you have all mediums already.
You think, oh no, I got property, this, I got a house, I got car, I got some I have this 401k, I have an annuity, and all of it is what we call paper denominated. You can see and feel your car, but it's attached to a contract, so it really isn't yours. You can feel your home every day attached to a contract.
Absolutely.
And it isn't yours. Anything you continuously have to pay someone else on can't possibly belong to you. Can't possibly belong to you. And if you don't pay them, you can lose it.
They can take it right up from under you.
There's a game out here that you guys are missing, and we want to bring that game to you. So at least if you see it, you got a chance to not just survive it, but thrive through it. Use the game like the ones who are using it. Because the bottom line is, it's, your life is not a game. The world is that you live in. And it's time, family, that we start looking at being not in the know, but being in action. Too many people got all this info. Some of y'all know this stuff. My question is how you doing?
If the information becomes a paperweight, it's no good to you.
It's true. See, what we're here to do is talk about how that video affects your life, right?
Absolutely.
And I put this up here because we are not joking. We've been helping people I've been in this for almost 2 years now. I love it. At Cost Metals. I don't normally promote different programs. And I do teach, I teach a metals class, how to learn about physical metals, things like gold, silver, different kinds of antiques, old antiques Then on top of that, gems. I love it, the gems conversation. Then how to get them. I mean, even an auction. People, y'all don't understand. We can do whatever we want. But my question, and you know what, that takes me right back. Do you know you are not being held back? There is absolutely no limit and no cap to what you can do or where you can go.
At this point.
You know what I was thinking?
At this point.
Because we have a New York trip that's being planned. I live in New York and I love it, but I would actually love if people wanted to go on a field trip. Because if you could come with me to 47th Street between 5th and 6th, the Avenue of the Americas, you would take a trip down what we call the Diamond District. It's officially called the Diamond District. You would walk into stores where people are so happy to see you because they understand value. They understand that they want that you understand value because you are in a place that is not like every other place. Mm-hmm. It's not like going to the cashier, to the, what do you call it, to the pawn shop.
No.
It's not like going to some jewelry store in the neighborhood. It's a whole different way, and you were completely treated as they don't know what's in your pocket. Say they don't disrespect. You understand where I'm coming from?
Your skin has no color other than green.
But see, you don't know that value of yourself. You don't know that gold and silver, how to get it, what to do. And these ain't all jewelry stores. Do you understand the difference between bullion? Do you know anything about gold backs? Do you understand what that's doing in our community? What's happening in your own community, state by state? Some of y'all are in states, different states, and you don't understand. And y'all think this is a conversation about go buy gold and silver. What if I told you? Who do you see? What culture lives or runs that block?
Between the Jewish community and the Arab community? There's some Italians in the mix, but they have the diamonds locked in place. But mostly, it's
my question is, you can't complain about people who are making it happen if you yourself will not put yourself in that space. We talk about we. What does we mean when you are not doing your part? And I'm not talking about for someone else. I mean for yourself. When you yourself are not creating a shift in securing your family need. And you know what I get? People talk about, when we talk about generational, they could think, oh, I ain't doing nothing for these kids. If I die, they gotta have to take care of me. You want to hear something? I always ask people, what if you live? What if you live? What if you live to the old ripe age of 100 and something, and them kids is gone, and you still here kicking, impoverished long term? But Miss Ruby, money ain't everything. You're damn right.
But damn sure.
Hold up. Your money ain't everything, but it sure beats starving. It sure beat dependent or having to be dependent. Money is security. And when I say money, I mean real money, because your currency is not it. And you can see that in the conversations that we just had. You don't have money, so you would never know. Those people who think I'm selfish, I don't get no this or that. The other. Okay. Because you know what? I've taken care of 3 relatives who died in home health care. They didn't die because of home health care. It was the last step of getting them what they needed. My question is how prepared for that are you? How prepared are you for the next accident, problem, situation in your household? And would you like that to shift? You know, my sister taught me this, and I don't think she knew that what she was actually teaching. Remember, when my sister was younger, my sister was a single mom very early. She was about 15 when I got to start to really get to know her as a single mom. I mean, this is amazing. But when she was about 19, I started learning about why she wore jewelry, gold jewelry. Her jewelry was considered her kind of like her it was her savings account. Back in the 90s, when my sister was an older teenager, I remember going with her to the pawn shop. And I don't know how many of y'all so old and so young. And my sister, when things got tight in between her checks, would go and pawn her jewelry to make ends meet.
Right.
And then go get it back. You know, I didn't know my sister was teaching me the system I would learn when I was 40. I would learn how to master that system when I was 40. And I don't even know if she does it then. I started learning when I was in my 40s, when I early 40s, and the sister not, you know what I'm saying, it looked good, but it still got some age on it and we got some time in. I'll let you know now. My sister did not realize she was saving in gold to leverage it when needed, and then going back, even though she had to pay interest, she was going back. Every time she went back, gold was worth more.
Yep.
The one thing you have to learn is that there are systems that work for the wealthy, and some of us have tapped in, but we don't know what we're doing. That's a lack of literacy. That's all that was happening with my sister. She had a lack of financial literacy. She had a system for keeping it going. So my ladies, men, gotta ask a question. How many of y'all know how to make it happen? How many of y'all know how to make ends meet when stuff get tight, right? Y'all got some sort of way. Back against the wall, you can make it. You ain't gonna fall. It's gonna get done. That's all that is. It's survival. So now we've got to come out of survival and go into thriving. We have to get to the thrive point where our life builds up. That's why we share with you the link. If you are on here and you see that QR code, scan it. Go to @Cost Metals. That's the P2G link. You're going to be contributing to P2G only by being a part of our group. You understand that? You don't need a membership. You can purchase it yourself. Okay? You want to make direct purchase, you don't have to have a membership. I recommend you get it because I get @cost pricing. That's like my Costco's membership. I get, if they gave me a QR code to give out for Costco, y'all all be a Costco member. I ain't gonna lie. Let me get a QR code to do to get a percentage back. I already got the membership that give me 2% every time I shop. So tell people about it and what you get, please. You know how many people want to use my Costco card? I was like, no, baby, you got to get your own.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have an @Cost Metals card. Because this is not impossible. It's just something you have to create a system for, and we teach that system. On Wednesdays, we have these conversations. Wednesdays, I told y'all, show up to p2gnetworks.com, right? Show up. Go take a look at the Wednesday schedule. It's free. It's a free Zoom. How many people are showing you systems for moving in a direction that solidifies your future, that allows you to have emergency funds at any time? See, we're not talking about, oh, let's go get you into the nearest trading thing. Because I told you, I'm not a big trader. I do some trading, don't get me wrong. But trading is a tool on the way to my asset acquisition.
You can't, unless you have got to the point where you've been doing it for years and that is your profession by right. Trading is something you do as an add-on to what you have. So please, and I just say this out loud, if someone tells you, you got a program and they say you can make your living on trading, believe me, the people who are making their living on trading aren't the ones who are showing you a new program. That's not what they do.
Most of the people making their money on trading are actually
getting their money on.
They're recruiting.
They're
recruiting. They're doing programs that are similar to copy trading.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so with that, I want you guys to get that. That's not what we're not about that. This is about financial literacy, learning how to acquire, build, and protect your life and everything you have in it. We are literally full service. What are you doing?
Just checking.
That's there.
I want to make sure we got catching all the information.
Just so y'all know, this is my husband, Mr. Thomas. Those who are new, we do this, and he's in my space. He's normally in his own space, but we gonna get his tech together so he can get back.
Well, my tech is under service contract right now.
I love it. You know why I love this? Because we are family. We're real people. We're not the ones that make it look so fancy. We're not. We're just you people at a different time. You who you are now in a different place in our experience. And be honest, it's all good. We want you to be, we want you to be able to acquire your dreams. And how many people today, can I ask y'all, how many people still have their dreams?
That's funny.
How many of y'all just decided that, the heck with it? Life is about work and hardship and I'm getting it over with. Yeah, a lot of y'all have resigned to the idea that it's just supposed to be hard. No, it's supposed to be challenging. Life was never supposed to be hard. It was supposed to be a challenge. And what I want you to recognize is that you were built to meet the challenge. Because it's yours. As long as you keep your mind, if V is up in the room, Barry, I'm gonna tell you right now, I can never say that you said. I'm gonna let you know I ain't gonna. Don't you ever talk to me about this afterwards. Minding your own business, stay in your own lane. If you can do that, if you can stay in your own lane, if you can mind your own business, keep on your focus, you will have anything you want.
Infinite.
You need the information. You need to be able to know how to process it, which is why we teach our curriculum. But our meetings are about community. Our meetings are about getting started. We got to prime the brain in order to be able to move in these new directions. Can you imagine trying to go to college out of junior high school?
You're missing.
I want you to look. You know what I'm saying? I want you to get that our education system is set up as a primer to the next portion. But the thing is all of us trying to jump from junior high school into college. That's why you have people who've gotten $1 billion, $500 million in the lottery, and they broke within the year. Owed taxes, lost property, didn't know what the hell they were doing, followed all these things. They didn't have emotional intelligence. They didn't have literacy, financial literacy.
There's a couple of things you put in there. Emotional intelligence,
yes,
financial literacy, and confidence is the other one we're missing, because all those three things together are what allows you to take advantage of the position you're looking to build. Dreams are relevant, but you have to have a plan up to the dream, and you've got to prime the dream.
That's right.
So you can make all these happen.
That's right. You got to prime
all
the dream.
All those things are.
Thank you. You have to prime your dreams in consistency. There's a lot of people who are going to, first of all, you're going to learn that you can't be around everybody. You can't share your dreams with everyone. Then on top of that, you can't let other people decide what your dream is. Sometimes that happens. We get caught up in the weed situation. I'm not here to tell you who you are. I'm going to show you some tools so you can figure out how to use them to develop who you are, because you are in there first. When we get to this conversation, I get to know people. This is a live situation. You're not going to see me coming in and doing a presentation. How you doing? This going to do this and we're going to do that. It's kind of the wrong way to do stuff. I've been in that situation. But I learned that consistency is going to lead to some different pathways, things I never expected. My dream is not an actual roadmap. Y'all get that? Your dreams aren't roadmaps. They're actual journeys you're going to take, and discovery is going to come along the way. How you deal with discovery will make everything along the way. Okay?
And I like the fact that you said discovery and the journey, because in the journey doesn't mean the journey is not a straight line.
That's right.
It takes some turns. You go around a few walls, around the side, over the top.
And don't it look like sometimes you're stopping or even walking backwards? Sometimes it seems like you're treading backwards.
But that's part of the journey.
It's weird because it's the part you need the most. The backwards tread is the part you need to most to pull forward. Yeah. You know they say slow down to speed up.
Exactly.
That's not a joke. There's people out here who have big dreams. Now, some of your dreams you don't even know are not yours. Some have been influenced by other things you've seen. The one thing I never asked God when I was 16 was, please give me P2G and all the different classes, and responsibilities, websites, the whole nine. I never, ever dreamed of all the things that I do in a day happening in my life. Please help me quit my job in 2020, just before the pandemic, and keep going on a massive flow that will not let me stop. Now, wait. Let me clarify one thing. I didn't quit working. I quit working a specific job. So I actually do have a business and a work, and we actually do work. And to tell that to my relatives, my babies was like, they ain't got no job. I said, look, first of all, I probably worked harder and longer than most people. My sister got that one. She got the world of it. I got to stay with her. That was the benefit of changing how my life worked. I got to help. Got to be with my family when they needed help, and I didn't have to worry about my finances because I was still maintaining them. They were still growing. We had long-term stability. We built in. That is not built into your job. That is not built into your stable business where you sit in your brick and mortar and keep the rent going. It is built into an income structure that doesn't stop when you do.
That's true.
There is the economy doesn't stop. How this economy changes doesn't stop my stability, and that should not ever stop yours. That's the conversation on Wednesdays.
Absolutely.
How to make it stick, because that's the problem. And people go, "Oh, she about that crypto, and she a blockchain and this." And I said, "No, these are tools along the way. I don't promote those. I teach how to use those to create a stable thing called your life."
And that's the missing with most people. They think you're here to get one. P2G isn't one dimensional.
Exactly.
It is a classroom of classrooms and a network of networks that allow you to find where you fit in. And one of the, and I gotta say, Ruby had a chance to be a part of a entourage of women who put together a book. And let me tell you, we have one of them on this Wednesday.
Talking about the can I?
Yeah.
Can I? Okay. So the reason we're talking about community is because I was able to join a community called the Podcast Babes. Amazing, built by a really good friend of mine. She started it out, and we just been supporting and building together for the last couple of years.
Let me tell you that.
And we all have podcasts. Actually, we don't all have podcasts. The beautiful thing about Podcast Babes is that you can be a babe and not have a podcast. You maybe want to develop one. You may just be someone who has a business you just want to help people, and you need to get the word out. So you become part of the Podcast Babes and help build. We all spread our message. Well, we came up with an interesting thing because of all of us as women, we saw it as women, but our book has heavily affected men as well. The book is called Turning Pain into Her Power. And I think I shared this with you guys some months ago. We became international, and yes, international bestsellers. I'm really excited on Amazon. I have a chapter in this book. It's myself and 26 other women. Well, 26 of us all together. Yeah. And we all took the time to share a portion of our story. So I have a chapter in this book. You can find it on Amazon. It's Turning Pain into Her Power. You can order the book. You can get it on the what's called Amazon. You can get it digital or you can get it physical. Now, what I'm going to tell you is this. When you open this book, it's going to be very revealing about people's journey, about what we're talking about here. Everything started with just commitment to a journey. Everything started with something that was causing us pain that we had to rise above or work through to get to see some changes happen. But we didn't do it alone. That was the one thing I love about this. On our journey, on my journey, there was family. People who didn't know anything about what I was talking about. I'm a tech. I'm a tech. I'm a big old geek. I don't mind. I talk sometimes. I'm like, and people are like, oh, great. That's wonderful. Glaze over. Eyes glaze over. But you know what the most important thing is? I love them. They love me. And we know that we got each other's back.
Absolutely. That's
Podcast Babes. And I love it. So we have another one. You guys have met some of my podcast sisters on here, like Sister Z. I love it. And now we're going to meet AJ. You guys saw AJ in the intro. You guys going to see AJ Beaver, who happens to be one of the most amazing young ladies. She came out to see us from Texas and with her husband, right? They came out to visit us here in New York. This is an amazing couple who are really doing a lot of work and got some good ideas. Unconventional, but you know what? That's what it's about. We got to get out these boxes and start meeting people from other places. You got to get on your journey. Put new names in your book of connection. And that's what P2G is built for. It's Pennies to Gold Networks with an S.
Absolutely.
Because it's not just my network. It's my network, your network, and everyone's network. You have to get that. When they were talking about, there's, what was it? How many? Seven, you are seven degrees of 6 degrees of separation from somebody, and that since the internet has gotten smaller,
more down to 3.
You now have more access to people. My question is, what are you utilizing? People must be used to have value. You know that, right?
Yes, indeed.
You have to be of use to have value, because then what are you good for? You get to decide that. I'm not saying jumping through hoops for everybody, but I'm saying now it's time to focus a dream and find those who are to be on your team.
They're in your path, they're in your line of sight.
We have. So one, I want to say thank you to everybody. We got to say good morning. I love it, Grand Rising family. This has been amazing. Oh my God. Y'all know we do about an hour, and sometimes we be creeping up. So let me get some word out here. Who's been in the room? We got Mr. LJ, Larry Wiggins up in here. Larry Wiggins Bay doing his thing. Thank you, baby. Grand Rising. We got Miss Faye out in, where's my baby girl at?
She on the West Coast.
She's on the West Coast from California. Miss Girl, Connecticut. I told you, we out here. We global. We don't play that. This is P2G Global. We all over the place.
Guys, tell me where you're coming in from.
Yeah.
Share where you're coming in from.
Make sure you put where you're coming in from and where because I want to make sure people say where they hail from. But we got some messages here. We're on so many streamers right now. And it's not just to be talking. It's to be making this make sense for all of us. We can get to what we want to get to.
What did Chris say?
Hi, baby. He said, he's saying, y'all speak. Okay, here. Can y'all speak real quick at the Federal Reserve meeting?
Okay, I got you.
Okay, Mr. Thomas, your brother was asking about that. That's what's up.
Real quick, the Federal Reserve meeting is on the 28th of the month. This is where they decide whether to increase or lower the inflation rate, whether or not to change the position of where gold is sitting at in the market, and the other thing about that, and that really doesn't make a difference, but it's the conversation of how inflation is going to affect economy around the world and the U.S. dollar, and whether or not they start the machines printing again.
I'm sorry, whether or not
they start the machines.
Yeah, I know they're going to print them. They're going to start printing. Y'all look, start getting your gold and silver.
Money printer go. Seriously.
That's real. That's real though. Y'all know they're gonna do it.
They're gonna start.
So just by all means, check it out. What is some of the CNET channels should have it. What do we call it?
Forbes.
Yeah.
Investopia. You can look at all these.
We'll take a look. As a matter of fact, that's a great conversation for Wednesday. We'll talk about some resources for getting the information yourself. You all should be connecting into Financial Times and not the news. Please stop typing in your local news. They have absolutely there's no caliber for this in that. You're gonna have to leave, and then we're gonna have to talk about it. You're gonna have to come to say, hey, this is what's going down. Did you know? You're gonna have to have somebody you can talk to about what's happening to the money situation so you can make moves. Because in all of this, going to work every day and just working or saving is not gonna do it. And like Robert Kiyosaki says, saving dollars is for suckers. I ain't mad at you. In that instance, I started to learn how to save in gold, silver, and other digital assets that I control. That is what conversation we teach you. Custody. Otherwise, you'll be praying for your future. And no, you're not going to throw everything in one. You're going to build a structural plan to move things according to the laws that the wealthy follow. If you know them, I'm glad for you. If you don't know them, this is a conversation you can't make not happen.
Yes.
Y'all can't wait for this to happen.
Get
all right.
I
love you guys. Yes, right. We got Baltimore in the house. How you doing? What's up, baby? That's what's up. We everywhere. I'm trying to tell you, we are everywhere.
California,
let's go. We got a speaker. Let's get to it. Come on. All right. Cool. Come on. Wow. Uh-oh.
Get ready, y'all.
Miss Shelby, how you doing, sis? I do that. Run that one more time because we ain't got no volume. Got some volume. Grand rising to you too. She just wanted to say hello.
Thank you, my sister.
Yes. We got all kinds of folks coming in through everywhere. We've got hundreds of people rolling through Clapper. We've got people coming through Stereo. I'm loving it. This is highly streamed, and we want people to know you have a home, you have a family,
and you have a voice.
And a voice. Absolutely. Get you, Mr. Thomas. Like I said, I'm about to kick him out soon. Don't worry about it, everybody. Kick him out. Give him his own space back. But in the meantime, we are going to be here for you because we are family, and we've been taught family very well. We love you guys. We thank you so much. My sister asked to come on the show to watch the show, which was awesome. Because you know how sometimes it's hard to convince your family when things change in the future. But when you stay in communication and you actually talk to them, you actually take the time to get to know who they are, they get to want to know who you are as well. Some of y'all say, oh, my family, this or that. I'm going to tell you, try something new and keep trying. Because if you stick in there, your dream for everything can happen. People don't know. The dream is just the beginning. The journey is everything, especially on how you deal with challenges.
And Unchained Conscious, thank you for being on. I appreciate you.
Yes. Hi, baby.
And yeah, baby.
That's what's up. We have a lot of people from different Latino countries that come in on our clapper. And I just want to share this with you. If you are here, and I'm going to say this, and y'all say this to somebody else, get them to P2G. Anybody worried about that whole process of where, y'all dealing with your membership or being deported out of this country? What we teach you can do anywhere in the world. There are people in African countries right now, as long as you have a network, which most of y'all have, and a smartphone, it'll change your life.
You can make it happen.
So don't be afraid to go home and thrive. Just remember, you came here for something. America doesn't have to be where you stay in order to grow. America can be just what it's supposed to always been, a catalyst for growth worldwide. Learn the rules, learn the system. Mwah. We'll see you on Wednesday. Peace and love.
Ooh, ba-da-da-da-da. See you. Wake up and rise, open your eyes. It's breakfast with the Thomases, the ultimate prize. Mental Wellness Monday.